Hey Panning family, today is March 4th of 2019 and I am finally getting around to filming my 2018 eyeshadow project pan finale. I know I am so late on this and I sincerely apologize for all of the delays that have occurred in my life. I did have the intention of putting this up at the end of January, end of January. It just didn't work out. I came down with the flu at the beginning of the year, and it has literally taken me 6 to 8 weeks to finally start feeling normal again. I think my cough finally subsided last week. So that thing lasted forever, but I'm back on track. I'm here. I have a lot to film and a lot to kind of make up for in these past couple of months. But today I am super excited to show you where I ended up in my 2018 eyeshadow project pan. Let's recap about what my projects were all about. The first part of my eyeshadow use up was called Cream Shadow Crush, and that is where I wanted to use as many cream shadows in my collection as possible, use them up entirely, move them out of my collection because they dry up so fast. I wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to use them before they became unusable. The second part of my project was called Mission Pan Possible, and that is where I tried to hit pan on as many powder eyeshadows as I possibly could without finishing any of them up. So I think I made really excellent progress this year, and I'm really excited to show you where I ended up. Let's start out with my cream shadow sticks. The first one I would like to show you is from Tarte. It is a Smolder Eyes eyeshadow stick. The markings I have are on the very edge here, so you can see the bottom mark is where I ended up on December 31st of 2018. I think I did a pretty good job using this, considering that I really only used this in the fall. So the second item that I have is an Urban Decay 24/7 eyeshadow pencil in the color Juju, and the markings I have are on this side of the page. The bottom line is where I ended up in December, the last day of December. So I actually used this a lot more than I was expecting to. Taupe, I mean, this actually lasted longer than I was expecting to, is really what I mean, because it started drying out at my last update in, was it October? Yeah, it was October, and I really had a hard time using it, but what I found that I was able to do is just take a tissue. So before I used it, I would just kind of scrape off the top layer on the tissue, and then the pencil would be soft enough where I could transfer the color to my lid. So that worked out well, and this guy is on its last legs, so I'm going to continue using it until it's unusable anymore, but I do feel like I got a lot of good use out of this one. The last cream shadow stick that I have to show you is my Urban Decay 24/7 eyeshadow pencil in the color Sin. So I got the most use out of this color throughout the entire year, and this is where I kept track of the progress. So the bottom line is actually where I am today on March 4th. The line just above that is where I ended on December 31st of 2018. So I actually have been using this since the end of the year. This one was obviously my favorite cream shadow to use. I feel like because of the color, it was so brightening. I could really layer any powder product on top of it, and it really just made those colors pop so much more. So I'm thinking that going forward, a color like this, a cream color like this, will be a staple in my collection, and I will continue to layer products over a color like this. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, I actually have a backup of this. So once this is gone, I will be able to continue using it as such. Moving on to my ColourPop Super Shock shadows, I would like to first show one called, let's start with this one. It's called Sunbeam. It was in the limited edition My Little Pony collection that they released. It is a beautiful purple duochrome color. I did have pan on this in my previous update, but I think I expanded the pan just the slightest bit more. Even if I didn't, I know I definitely used it several more times, so the dip around it should be wider. I'm going to continue to use this throughout this year because I really want to get as much use as possible out of this before it dries up. It was limited edition. I don't want to be scared anymore to use limited edition things, so There we go. The second Super Shock shadow that I have is called Birthday Boy, and it is a glittery taupe color. I had pan on this in my last update as well, but I definitely expanded the pan on this one. It's actually a color similar to the Urban Decay Juju, but because this one has actually remained soft for quite some time, if I want to wear a taupe color, I grab this one because it's so much softer, it's easier to apply, easier to use, and I think it's just less hassle than the stick shadow since this one is drying up anyway. The last and final Super Shock shadow that I have to share with you is in the color Strength. It is a matte shade, and I hit extensive pan on this guy. I am actually having a hard time getting my brush into the rest of this, and I've heard about repressing ColourPop shades. Can you tell me if you have an opinion or any information about how that works for you or how the product performs after it's repressed? Only because I know it's a cream shade and I don't even know if you have to do something different or special with it versus a powder product. I mean, I would be interested in using the entire thing up, but as it stands right now, I'm kind of getting fed up with it, and I'm kind of noticing that the pigment is not as intense anymore, which is to be expected because obviously it's old. I've used it a bunch. It's drying out, but I'm kind of interested, like if I were to use this faster or if I had used it faster, would it be repressible? I don't know. Let me know. Wrapping up the Cream Shadow Crush portion, I unfortunately didn't finish up any of my cream shadows, but I came pretty darn close with Urban Decay Sin and pretty darn close with ColourPop's Strength. I'm gonna count that as a win, and especially since, I mean, if this was the only cream shadow that I used the entire year, it would have been gone by half the year, and if I continue to work on these, I'm sure I'll continue to make good progress on them. So, I mean, I'm not mad about it, and I'm actually really, really proud about my ColourPop Strength. And I have to say that this is a super, super good value, especially with how I used it. I only used it in my crease, but it lasted me basically the entire year, and I was using it constantly. So, really proud about how this project turned out. Moving on to my Mission Pan Possible portion of this video, let us start out with my Kat Von D Beethoven palette. I already had 3 pans in this palette at my last update, and I added one, which I believe I hit pan on New Year's Eve day for this, and it is in the color Leather. Right here, this brown one on the end, you can kind of see that sparkly pan in there. This guy was so hard packed and it was stiff and it was so pigmented that I would literally dip my brush in once and smudge it in to the outer corner, and I could do both eyes just with that one dip. So it took forever to hit pan, and so I was super stoked that I finally hit pan on this by the end of the year. The second palette that I wanted to share with you was my Urban Decay Naked Basics palette. I actually had pan in all of these shades at my last update, but I have expanded all of them. And the reason is because when I traveled internationally earlier this year, I took this palette with me. It was really easy, super versatile. I think the biggest difference that you could see is in Naked 2. At my last update, I only had 2 baby specks of pan in there, and I've definitely expanded that quite a bit more. That is 4 pans in this palette. The third palette that I wanted to share with you was my Kat Von D Spellbinding Eyeshadow Book. And I felt that this was actually the most challenging to hit pan on, only because every time I would open it, I felt so tempted by all of the different colors in here, I would forget or not want to use the shades that I was actually working to hit pan on. So I guess that's kind of one of the downfalls of this project is just because, you know, when you're faced with something like this, it's kind of hard to focus on just a handful of shades. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have hit pan in as many as I did. So I only hit pan on 4 shades, and they're probably the most neutral shades in this palette. I had pan in this one and this one at the last update, and I added this pan here and this pan here. So I don't have much of a dip going on really in any of the other shades. I'll go ahead and flip you around as I normally do to show you those. But I had a lot of fun with this palette, and I will probably, I don't want to say retire this one, but I'm definitely going to put this one away for now just so I can focus on my other shades in my collection. The final palette that I have to share is my Too Faced Enchanted Glamourland palette, and I actually pulled this in after I had hit the matte shade in here, the matte highlight shade in here. I needed something else to work on, even though I probably could have continued working on that and maybe even finished it, but I wanted to pan as many eyeshadows as possible. Hence, mission to pan possible. I have hit pan on 3 shades in this palette. They are this one, and this one. And this one here, called Peach Fuzz, was actually kind of in a similar situation as the leather shade in my Kat Von D Beethoven palette. I hit pan on this one on the last day of the year, so I'm super excited that I can add this into my totals. Tallying up my totals for my Mission Pan Possible project, I have hit pan on 20 eyeshadows in 2018. I think that is absolutely incredible. Seeing how I only finished up maybe 3 eyeshadows in my Pan That palette last year, the fact that I was able to hit pan on 20 eyeshadows, I'm pretty stoked about that. Granted, all of these pans still have a ton of product left in them, but the fact that they're showing use and love was really satisfying to me. That also included my 2 single shadows that I had finished, or rather hit pan on at my last update. So these were included into the total of my Mission Pan Possible project. I'm going to go ahead and show you a slideshow of all the different pans that I have hit pan on this year. My 2018 eyeshadow projects really were pivotal for me as far as changing my mindset when it comes to using my makeup. I remember saying at the beginning of the year that I didn't want to use this because it was limited edition, I couldn't get it anymore, and I wanted to keep it just in pristine condition because I couldn't, it was limited edition. But I felt that going ahead and digging into these eyeshadow palettes, it really helped me to realize that makeup is just a material possession. It's meant to be used. It's meant to be loved. It's meant to have pan on it. It isn't meant to be in pristine condition for the rest of time. I mean, that's something, you know, it's not an heirloom. And this project has really changed my viewpoint of makeup. It's no longer this untouchable thing that needs to be kept perfect. It's something that I can use and enjoy in my day-to-day life. And I think that's one element of makeup that I was missing. It's like I would use, or I'd want to use my ugliest makeup first because I didn't want to use the beautiful stuff. But I'm realizing that with using the beautiful stuff, it adds so much more to my life. And I think that's a fantastic realization to walk away with from this project. I really had so much fun doing it, and because I had so much variety, I was never bored with my options. And I think this is something that I'm going to take forward with me as I continue panning and as I continue enjoying my makeup. So I think that's all I have to say. Thanks so much for watching this video, and if you need a reminder about what the heck I was doing for 2018 and you want to see the progress, I will try to remember to link all of those below. But in the meantime, 2019 has a lot of exciting things in store as far as panning projects, and I have yet to film them. But I think now that I'm finally feeling better and kind of getting back into my normal routine, I will be able to get those up for you relatively soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone. This is my Urban Decay 24/7 eyeshadow pencil in the color Sin, and it's just a little baby now. Oh my goodness. It's so cute. And I'm not sure if you're even going to be able to see it. First of all, okay, first of all, my camera wants to focus on my face, so let's see if this helps. No. December 31st was the day that I hit pan on that, so I was celebrating. I was celebrating for New Year's because of this. Not really, but you know. Every time I opened it, I just like dipped my finger in something. Okay, hang on a second. There are so many colors in here. Every time I would open it, I felt tempted. There were so many colors that were just tempting me, saying, you know, use me, use me.